Have you ever sat in silence and wondered why, despite doing everything right, taking every pill on time, like a solemn vow, and placing your full trust in medicine, your body still won't stop crying out? You believe you are being protected, but deep inside, a tingling sensation begins to spread like strange electrical currents. A burning feeling, like needles and pins, keeps you awake every night, turning steps that were once steady into a vague sense of fear. The truth I am about to share might shock you or even leave you feeling bewildered. Have you ever suspected that the very saviors sitting neatly in your medicine cabinet, those pills to stabilize your blood pressure, control your blood sugar, or soothe your heart, might actually be silent traitors? They are not merely medications. To our nervous system, they can be toxins quietly gnawing away at the vital pathways of life from the inside out. In our country, it has become a heartbreaking reality that a person over the age of 70 must carry the burden of 9 to 13 different medications every day. When you stack these chemicals upon one another, a maze of dangerous interactions is formed, where a drug meant to treat one condition accidentally devastates another organ. We call it peripheral neuropathy, but often that is just a label used to mask a much harsher truth. Join me on this journey, because the information at the end of this video is not just knowledge. It is the key for you to take back control of your life before it is too late. You are not alone, and the secret of what is truly happening inside your body is about to be revealed. To understand why these pains appear, we need to look together at a larger picture, a reality unfolding right inside the homes of millions of American families. Did you know that our country leads the world in the number of prescriptions per person? It is a figure that is both a point of medical pride and a haunting omen of the consequences. In 2020 alone, 4.5 billion prescriptions were filled, and analysts project this number will hit 5 billion by 2030. This means that, on average, each of us is carrying a massive load of chemicals in our bodies every single day. For those of you who have passed the age of 70, this reality is far harsher. Living with 9 to 13 different medications at once has become a normal standard in modern medicine. But I want you to pause for a moment and reflect with me. When we pour dozens of different active ingredients into a single body, they don't just sit still. They interact, overlap, and create chain reactions that we doctors call drug-disease interactions. This is an invisible trap where a pill prescribed to save your blood pressure or blood sugar accidentally becomes the trigger that activates or worsens an entirely different medical condition. The most silent and overlooked consequence in this medication maze is peripheral neuropathy, the damage to the furthest nerves in your hands and feet, causing sensations of numbness, weakness, or a burning like fire. Heartbreakingly, more and more cases are being labeled by doctors as idiopathic, meaning they can't find the cause. But with my experience as a doctor who constantly worries for you, I believe that in many cases, the answer is not mysterious at all. It is right there, hidden in plain sight within the list of medications you take every day, obscured by the lack of time and an overburdened healthcare system. Once you understand this mechanism, you will no longer be in a passive position. Instead, you will have a completely different dialogue, one full of empowerment and wisdom, with your treating physician about your own symptoms. After all, a study of 6,500 people showed that while most drugs carry dozens of side effects, sometimes the prescriber can only recall a few basic ones. It is precisely that gap in knowledge where the pain you are enduring begins. As we begin to peel back the layers of this medication maze, I want to pause with you for a moment on a group of drugs whose presence often causes the most misunderstanding: anti-seizure medications. For decades, the medical community tended to dismiss the idea that drugs used to stabilize brain activity could cause physical damage to the distant nerves in your hands and feet. However, in 2019, a landmark publication in the International Journal of Neurology broke that silence by confirming a clear link between these drugs and the devastation of peripheral nerves. On that list, there are names you may be all too familiar with, such as phenytoin, carbamazepine, or Keppra. But, my friends, there is one name I must emphasize specifically because it carries a truly breathtaking truth: gabapentin. This is one of the most widely prescribed medications in the world, especially for patients already suffering from the agony of neuropathy. Reflect with me on this paradox. Millions of seniors take gabapentin every day with the burning hope that it will soothe their numbness and pain. Yet the cruel reality is that long-term use can actually worsen the very root damage it was assigned to treat. This is no longer merely a side effect. It is a cycle of suffering that, if not warned against, will leave you trapped inside forever. It feels like trying to extinguish a fire with a fuel that initially seems to cool the heat, but in reality is quietly eroding the very foundation of the house. Beside gabapentin, its close relative pregabalin, commonly known as Lyrica, also falls into this high-risk category, and I will share more about the shocking research regarding it later in our conversation. I understand that hearing this may leave you feeling confused or wondering why we are prescribed such medications. The answer lies in the gap between what medical science knows and what is practiced daily in busy clinics. As your fellow physician on this journey, I want you to see through this truth, not to cause fear, but to arm you with a necessary clarity. We cannot change the past, but we can completely change how we face our treatment plans starting today by deeply understanding the true nature of the pills we are putting into our bodies. The truth about anti-seizure medications has opened a new lens on potential risks, but our journey of discovery does not stop there. We must move deeper into another group of drugs that carry incredibly complex effects on the nervous system: HIV medications. My friends, I know that for our generation, HIV was once a shadow of fear, but medical progress has transformed it into a chronic condition that can be managed with treatment regimens lasting decades. However, the price of this survival is sometimes paid with the health of the most delicate nerve fibers in the body. Clinical studies have pointed to a noteworthy reality: certain antiviral drugs, especially older generations, or names like didenosine and formulas containing tenofovir, such as Truvada, are directly linked to the onset or worsening of peripheral neuropathy. What troubles me as a physician is that the way these drugs attack our bodies goes beyond a simple feeling of numbness. They can cause profound damage to both the sensory and motor nervous systems, weakening the ability to transmit signals from the brain to the limbs. Imagine your nervous system as a sophisticated network of electrical wires covering your entire body. These drugs, in their effort to stop the virus from multiplying, sometimes accidentally cause a short circuit in that system. For those of you who may have been on these protocols for many years, early recognition of signs such as loss of balance, muscle weakness, or unusual sharp pains is vital. I want you to understand that we do not downplay the life or death role of antiviral drugs in sustaining life, but we have the right and the responsibility to be fully aware of the scars they can leave on the nervous system. This understanding is not meant to create fear, but to help us find a balance where controlling the virus does not mean completely sacrificing your quality of life and natural mobility. When you sit down with your doctor, you can discuss whether there are more modern, less nerve-toxic alternatives available, because medicine is always moving forward, and we deserve the finest and safest care for our stage of life. Moving from the quiet impacts of viral medications, we cross into another frontier of modern medicine, where the effort to regulate the body's immune system inadvertently creates unnecessary conflicts with our own nervous system. I am talking about immunosuppressants. My friends, for many of us, autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, or psoriasis are long and painful battles that force us to seek help from powerful biological drugs to calm the mistaken attacks of our own immune system. Names like Humira, Enbrel, or Remicade have become the gatekeepers that help you regain mobility and soothe intense joint pain. However, as a physician who is always watching over your health, I want us to acknowledge a reality seldom mentioned in those long, fine print leaflets. These medications can cause a profound disturbance to the structure of the peripheral nerves. Their mechanism is to suppress inflammatory factors, but in the process, they may unintentionally disrupt the survival signals that nerves need to sustain life. This often leads to a condition medical science calls demyelinating neuropathy, where the protective sheath surrounding the nerve is worn away, much like the plastic insulation on an electrical wire peeling off, causing nerve impulses to leak and resulting in numbness or sudden muscle weakness. What concerns me most is that these symptoms are often mistaken for the progression of the arthritis itself or simply dismissed as signs of aging, leaving you in a state of quiet resignation. I have met many patients who shared that their legs felt heavier and more clumsy since starting immunosuppressive therapy, yet they were hesitant to ask their doctor for fear of having to stop the medication that was helping their joints. I want to tell you that what you are feeling is entirely grounded in science and is truly valid. This understanding is not meant to deny the value of breakthroughs in biological medicine, but to remind us of the importance of observing our bodies with nuance. When you notice changes in sensation in your fingertips or the soles of your feet while using immunosuppressants, that is the time for a deeper conversation with your specialist. We are not alone in this fight, and early identification of these impacts on the nervous system will help doctors adjust dosages or seek supportive options to protect the precious information network inside your body. Remember, our ultimate goal is not just to treat one disease, but to keep the entire body from the joints to the tiniest nerve fibers living together in harmony and health for as long as possible. Leaving behind the complexities of the immune system, I want to bring you to an area often considered the heart of every family medicine cabinet, home to the pills we trust daily to keep the rhythm of life steady, cardiovascular and blood pressure medications. My friends, protecting the heart and ensuring smooth blood flow is a top priority as we enter our golden years. Yet, ironically, it is right here that we encounter some of the most silent and sophisticated agents of nerve damage. First, I want to draw your attention to Amiodarone, an extremely powerful drug used to control heart rhythm disturbances. There is a fact that few suspect. Amiodarone tends to accumulate in body tissues over time, and once the dosage reaches a certain threshold, it begins to directly attack the peripheral nerve fibers. Research has shown that the longer you use this medication, the more real the risk of facing numbness or loss of sensation in your extremities becomes. Next is hydralazine, a common name in prescriptions for high blood pressure, which has long been noted for its ability to trigger neurological symptoms that we sometimes mistake for the natural aging process. But what troubles me most to share with you today lies in a group of drugs that seem the most harmless: diuretics, or what you might simply call water pills. Medications like Lasix or hydrochlorothiazide do an excellent job of reducing pressure on the circulatory system, but in the process of flushing out excess fluid, they accidentally wash away the precious minerals that are the essential food for the nervous system. Imagine your nerves as musicians in a symphony orchestra. They need magnesium, potassium, calcium, and zinc to play their rhythmic signal music. When diuretics deplete these minerals, the orchestra begins to lose its beat, and as a result, discomfort and pain begin to surround your feet and hands. Witnessing you endure these pains, I understand that sometimes we feel trapped between two choices: protecting the heart or protecting the feet. But I am here to tell you that knowledge will help us find a way out. We don't have to choose one over the other if we know how to properly replenish what is missing and have an honest conversation with our doctors about these impacts. Your heart deserves to be healthy, and your feet deserve to walk in comfort, free from pain. Stay clear-minded with me, for there are still other critical truths regarding diabetes and chemotherapy drugs ahead that I am certain you won't want to miss. If the effects of cardiovascular drugs are a silent erosion over time, then the next group of medications I want to share with you is like a violent storm sweeping through the nervous system, leaving behind indelible marks. I am talking about chemotherapy. My friends, for any of us, the moment we receive news that we must enter a battle with cancer is a monumental emotional challenge, and choosing to put chemicals into your body to fight for your life is an incredibly brave decision. However, in that life-or-death struggle, a harsh reality that medicine calls chemotherapy-induced peripheral neuropathy, CIPN, often becomes a lingering nightmare for many patients, even after the disease has been driven away. In particular, I want you to pay attention to platinum-based drugs, including names like cisplatin or oxaliplatin. Clinical studies have produced a staggering figure. Nearly 90% of patients using these medications will experience nerve damage symptoms to some degree. These drugs don't just attack cancer cells, they inadvertently accumulate in and devastate the dorsal root ganglia of your nerves, the very place responsible for transmitting every sensation from the outside world to your brain. As a result, many of you must endure sharp, electric shock-like pains and a stiffness that makes buttoning a shirt or holding a cup of tea difficult, or worse, a sensation like walking on broken glass every time your feet touch the ground. Witnessing people of your age suffer this additional pain after surviving the gates of cancer constantly drives me to find solutions to soothe that damage. One ray of hope I want you to remember is the role of acetyl L-carnitine, also known as Alcar. This is a natural amino acid that many studies have shown can protect the mitochondria within nerve cells, those tiny power plants that help nerves repair themselves and resist the onslaught of chemicals. Supplementing with Alcar can help reduce the severity of the pain without interfering with the tumor-killing effectiveness of the chemotherapy. I share this so you understand that we do not have to accept pain as an inevitable part of treatment. If you are preparing for or are currently undergoing chemotherapy and start to notice strange signs in your fingertips or toes, please speak up and discuss the use of neuroprotective nutrients with your doctor. You have been brave enough to defeat cancer, and you absolutely deserve a full life after treatment, free from the shackles of agonizing nerve pain. Keep that spirit strong, because right after this, we will explore the final and perhaps most familiar group of pills in the American medicine cabinet: diabetes medications. As we close our discussion on chemotherapy, I want to lead you to our final stop, which is perhaps the most familiar of all the place that holds a medication almost everyone has heard of or has sitting in their own medicine cabinet: metformin, the gold standard for treating type 2 diabetes. My friends, diabetes is a silent battle that so many Americans our age face every day, and metformin has been a reliable companion in stabilizing blood sugar and protecting our kidneys and hearts from dangerous complications. Yet, within that devotion, metformin hides a secret that, if left unaddressed, can turn your journey toward health into a lasting pain in ways few would expect. The way metformin causes harm isn't by directly attacking the nerves like chemotherapy. Instead, it carries out a silent invasion by preventing the body from absorbing vitamin B12 from your food. Imagine your nervous system as a sprawling network of telecommunication cables where each wire is wrapped in a smooth, insulating sheath called myelin. Vitamin B12 is the only raw material the body uses to maintain and repair this myelin sheath. When metformin depletes your precious B12 reserves, that protective layer begins to erode and peel away, causing nerve signals to leak and become chaotic. This is precisely when nerve pain strikes. The heartbreaking paradox is that diabetes itself can already cause nerve damage. So when you take metformin to control your blood sugar, the resulting B12 deficiency delivers a second fatal blow. This often leads doctors to mistakenly believe your diabetes is simply progressing, rather than recognizing it as a side effect of the medication. As a result, you might be prescribed even more painkillers when the root of the problem is a simple nutritional deficiency. Studies have shown that low B12 levels not only destroy the myelin sheath, but also increase levels of homocysteine in the blood, a substance that is directly toxic to peripheral nerve cells. Seeing you endure these stinging and numbing pains, I want to remind you that this is one of the easiest risks to fix if we know how. With a proper supplement of vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin, an active form that the body absorbs much more easily, you can completely stop this devastation and help that myelin sheath regenerate. Don't let a small deficiency ruin years of your hard work to stay healthy. We deserve to enjoy the fruits of modern medicine without trading away the comfort of our feet or the dexterity of our hands. Now that we've covered all 6 groups of medications, you're likely wondering if there's anything even more surprising left to uncover. Right now, I'm going to share a recent study that might completely change how you look at the most common nerve pain medications used today. While the knowledge about metformin has helped us untie a major knot, my friends, there is still another truth that has just come to light, one that I believe will completely change how we view the pain relievers we use every single day. I want to take a special moment of silence to share with you a shocking study published in late 2022, information that absolutely no one using the world's most common nerve pain medications today can afford to ignore. In the medical world, we often call gabapentin and Lyrica giants because of their sheer popularity, but a large-scale study of 210,000 patients has exposed a dark corner that left even professionals like myself truly stunned. This study indicates that those using these 2 medications not only face the risk of more severe nerve damage over time, but they also face a terrifying risk related to the cardiovascular system. Specifically, doctors and researchers found a close link between the use of these drugs and a sudden spike in dangerous events like heart attacks, strokes, and heart failure. Most notably, these risks don't wait decades to appear. They can manifest after just 5 years of use, and in some cases, signs of heart failure began to flicker after only 3 months from the first prescription. Reading these reports, my heart sinks thinking about the millions of folks out there still taking these pills daily, believing they are protected from pain, entirely unaware of the ghost of cardiovascular complications lurking nearby. You might ask yourself, why hasn't such a critical and influential piece of information been mentioned by your family doctor during your last visit? My friends, please understand them. Our current healthcare system is constantly overburdened, and doctors face a mountain of information updated daily. Sometimes it takes a long time for the latest research to trickle down into local treatment protocols. I share this not to spread fear, but so we can recognize together that medicine is a never-ending flow. What we once considered the absolute truth 10 years ago may no longer be appropriate today. Grasping these latest medical updates is how you arm yourself with a protective shield, giving you the foundation to ask more pointed questions of your medical team. We cannot fully surrender our health to old habits. We must be alert to realize that the price of soothing nerve pain should never be the safety of our hearts or our very lives. Please remember these timelines and figures, as they are the ironclad evidence we need to seek a safer and more humane path to treatment in the next parts of our program. Drawing from the cardiovascular risks we've just analyzed, I want to wrap up this entire journey with you to reveal the clearest picture of your health. My friends, we have traveled through a long list of familiar medications, from diabetes and heart treatments to specialized drugs like chemotherapy and anti-seizure meds. The greatest common thread I want you to recognize is the paradox of modern medicine. Sometimes the price of controlling one biological marker is the silent sacrifice of another organ system. However, the knowledge I share isn't meant to make us turn our backs on medicine or abandon necessary treatments. On the contrary, it opens a new chapter of proactivity. We've come to understand that nerve damage isn't always the destiny of old age. Sometimes it's simply a cry for help from a body depleted of minerals by diuretics or drained of vitamin B12 by metformin. With just a few small adjustments supplementing with the right nutrients in the right form and dose, we can turn the tide. Most importantly, you must become the chief advocate for your own health. When you walk into that clinic, instead of just silently accepting a prescription, carry this knowledge with you. Have the confidence to discuss, to ask about supportive options like Alcar or methylcobalamin, and to request a more careful consideration of your dosages. Your health is a priceless asset, and understanding exactly what you put into your body is the deepest form of self-respect. Remember, the ultimate goal isn't just about taking fewer or more pills. It's about achieving the best quality of life, where you can walk steadily and experience the world to its fullest. The greatest lesson here is knowledge is the antidote to fear. In medicine, a lack of understanding often leads to resignation, but when you hold the information, you move from being someone who simply takes orders to being a partner alongside your doctor. Right now, list the medications you are taking and cross-reference them with the 6 groups we've discussed. Note any tingling or burning sensations that have appeared since you started them. At your next checkup, show this list to your doctor and ask directly, "I'm concerned about this medication's impact on my nerves. Can we look into protective nutrients or perhaps a switch to a drug with fewer side effects?" Consulting with a professional, consider using vitamins and minerals that support the nervous system to fill the gaps that medications might accidentally leave behind. Before we close our conversation today, I truly want to hear from you. Of the 6 groups of medications I've shared, which one surprised or concerned you the most regarding its side effects? Please leave your thoughts politely in the comments section. Every share is a valuable resource for others in the same boat. If you found this information truly helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. That is the greatest motivation for me to keep researching and bringing you even more valuable health content. Wishing you strength, health, and peace of mind on your journey of self-care.